All right, what is good? What is happening, everybody? It is your boy Primitive AK here, back with our very first Black Ops 7 video for today. Today, we're going to be covering the overall best settings to be using and graphics settings for PC and console. If you guys are into the channel, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys showing the love and support as always. I'm very excited to jump in this game and showcase all there is to know about this game, including what everybody is waiting for, which are camo tutorials. So we will be going for that, as there is a max camo in this game. So we've got a lot of ground to cover here, so I'm just going to get right to it. First, you're going to want to head over to your settings, and when you first boot up the game for the first time, you will actually be prompted to import your settings from Black Ops 6. So that will kind of save you a lot of trouble if you want to have the same or similar or the same settings from the previous game. So that might help you out if you don't want to go through all your settings all over again. But for the sake of those that don't import or maybe want to change around a couple things, this video is for you. So we're first going to start off with controller settings here, because I think that's the most important. Button and stick layout I leave on default because I do have a 4-paddle scuff controller. This allows me to access certain buttons on the back of my controller without my thumbs ever leaving the right stick. So this is very helpful for me. However, if you don't have one, I would recommend you change your button layout to tactical. This will move your melee and sprint button over to the R3 and allow you to have more control over certain abilities. Moving on, we got horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity. This is on 1.4. This is the same setting sensitivity that I had in the previous game. I recommend you start with lower sensitivity and gradually work your way up. If you notice that you're overshooting targets a little bit, you'll want to turn it down, because that means that your sensitivity is way too high. If you're undershooting and you feel you need to pull your stick a little bit too far to get a kill, then bring it back up. So that's essentially what you need there. The rest of these settings I leave on default here. You can swap L1 and R1 if you want. I personally don't. Controller vibration I leave off. I don't like vibration. Always turn it off. It does not do you any good. Trigger effect also off. Dead zone, I put this on the lowest and the highest default settings if you don't have any stick drift. If you notice that you're having issues sprinting, then I recommend you turn your left stick maximum to right about 90, but I don't have that issue, so I'm going to just leave it as is. And the rest goes for left trigger and right trigger. I have mouse click triggers, so that's why I have these set to 1. You could probably even set this to 0 if you want. Moving on to aiming, sensitivity multiplier. The only thing that I recommend changing is your ADS sensitivity multiplier. Just bring it down to 0.9. That way you can compensate for much more smoother aim when you ADS. Look aversion, always on standard. Don't need to change anything here. Aim advanced settings, I set to gradual. Third person ADS correction, assist, aim response curve I set on standard, and custom sensitivity per zoom. You can change this if you want. I don't really feel the need to change it. That's just my own personal preference. You kind of already changed this in the previous aim assist settings, so that's why you don't really need to change anything there. Sprint assist I do have on. Sprint assist delay, make sure you set this to 0. This may be set to like 300 milliseconds by default, but just make sure you change this to 0. Sprint assist backwards and sideways always on. Mantle assist I have off. You don't really need it. Crouch assist I have off as well. Don't really use it. Corner slice. This is like when you're able to like incline your weapon at an angle or like a corner of a wall. I don't need it, so I just leave it off. Slide behavior is tap to slide. Auto airborne mantle is on. Sprint restore on. Slide maintain sprint also on. Wingsuit activation. This is all Warzone stuff, so you don't really need any of it. And then over in movement advanced behaviors, make sure you set to sprint tactical behavior toggle. It should be on default by toggle. Sprint door bash I have on. The rest of this is pretty much set to default. I don't think I've changed any of these. Moving on to combat. This should all be set to default. I'm not really going to go through every single one. And combat advanced settings always on default as well, so I don't change anything there. Over for overlay. All this should be set to default. Again, I don't change any of this stuff. For graphics, this is pretty important for PC players. I have mine set to roughly around 2K settings. If you wonder why this is locked out, it's because I am playing on full screen borderless, and I also have DLSS on. This allows me to change the render resolution essentially. If you want, you could change the fidelity cast here, and then that will allow you to change this setting over to 2K. However, I believe I left this kind of on custom settings, so there's really no wrong answer here. If you want to use frame gen for additional frames, you can. I know the argument of quote-unquote fake frames is out there. If you think it's fake frames, I don't know what to tell you, bro. You just got to understand how it works. Me personally, I don't really use it because I get enough frames with my 4090. So that's the only reason why I don't use it, but it is still very good. I just want to make that very clear. Moving on, I'll kind of go through the quality settings here so you guys can see what I'm using. Okay, again, like I mentioned, full screen borderless. Make sure you set to your graphics card, obviously. And the rest of this, in reflex low latency, make sure you have that on. Eco mode preset, I set the custom. P-Sync off. Custom frame rate limit, don't use it. However, if you want to use one for the menu, you can. I personally don't really need to use it. And like I said, the rest of these settings just leave the default. You don't need to change any of them. Upshield sharpening, I recommend either Fidelity Cast or NVIDIA DLSS. Both are very good options. Just make sure you pick one that you feel is, the best, essentially. And it really also depends on your graphics card. Higher end graphics cards can probably get away with DLSS or even a higher end image scaling. But I personally just stick with DLSS or Fidelity Cast. They're both really good. Ray tracing, I don't use it for shooter games. I use it for like other games, but not this one. Texture resolution, I set to normal. You could also bump this to high if you have a good graphics card. I may even bump this to high. We'll see how many frames I get. I think last time I played, I was at like 200. And my monitor is 144, so I don't really need to go any higher. Depth of field, turn this off. This basically makes your gun blur when you ADS. It's just a realistic setting. Don't use it. Detail quality, I set to low. Particle, low. When Warzone comes out, I would recommend bumping this to like high or even normal, because that will allow you to see things at a distance, which is pretty useful. Bullet impacts and persistent, I leave this on for the sake of information. Believe it or not, it's weird, I know, but when we have a good graphics card, you can kind of turn these settings up a lot. On-demand texture streaming, I have this set to default. I don't really change this. The rest of these are set to default. Shader quality, I set to normal. Screen space shadows and SSL is set to off, and SSR is also off as well, and SRQ also low. Terrain quality, I set very high. I want this to be high so I can see as much as possible. Volumetric, low. This is like fog, basically, in clouds. It's not really needed. Just set it to low. And the rest I set to off as well. My field of view is set to 105. I don't really need to change that. Weapon field of view, default. Weapon field of view, default, or vehicle. World view and motion blur. World and weapon blur, turn it off. First person camera movement set to 50%. Inverted flashbang, this basically makes it when you get flash, it goes to black instead of white. Very, very important. And for audio settings, I have everything set to 100 because I have a mix amp that kind of controls certain things. So I just set that as default. Speakers, make sure you set to whatever is your default speaker device. Headphone bass boost is my audio mix. I might actually change this. Voice chat, I actually turned this down a little bit because, like I said, this is controlled by a different function. So that's why I have that changed. And microphone input, make sure you set this to your microphone. Default can also work, but I just kind of set it to whatever works there. And over for interface, I have it all set default. I don't change anything here. Readability, also default. You can change color customization. I might change these. However, for now, I recommend just keeping it as is. What I might do is set it a brighter color than what you see here. I did this for Battlefield as well, but for now, I'm just going to leave it on default. I don't want to change anything just yet. And you can also change the kill feed duration, which is pretty sweet. So I might actually change this. If you're a sniper, I would change this to like medium, but otherwise I would just keep it as is. And you can also have HUD presets, which is pretty nice. I might change this. This actually does look kind of sick, but we'll see. I'm not thinking about it, and we'll see how I feel about it. Other things like radar, toggle the minimap radar back on and off. I don't really use it. I don't think it's needed, so I don't really use any of that stuff. Motion reduction preset off, horizontal on preset off. Motion control, I have all this set to default right now. Don't change it. Crosshair dot, definitely use the crosshair dot. I love using it. I'm trying to find the setting where you can change the minimap. I can't see it. Don't think it's here, actually. So usually there's a setting where I could change the HUD over, or the minimap over to a square. I don't quite see it. but if anyone else finds it before me, I'd recommend you change that to a square. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much it for my settings. Like I said, I keep these pretty much the same every single year. I may tweak a few things here and there. Like I said, the color settings I may tweak, but otherwise it's pretty much all the same. But thank you guys for the love and support. I will catch you guys in the next one. It's your boy Primitive AK, signing out. Peace out, fellas.